I want you to picture a moment. And I think pretty much everyone listening has felt this at least once in their life.
Mm.
It starts with a spark. Maybe you meet someone at a party, or maybe you just look up across the office and see someone you've known for 5 years in a completely new light.
Right. Suddenly the lighting changes.
The lighting in the room seems to get about 10% brighter. Exactly. You get that flutter in your stomach, the classic butterflies.
Yes.
You find yourself checking your phone a little too often, hoping for a name to pop up on the screen. It's exciting, right?
It is.
It feels like the beginning of a rom-com. It's that, can't eat, can't sleep, reach for the stars feeling.
Well, it's the universal human experience of attraction. I mean, it's the dopamine kick that evolution gave us to make sure the species keeps going.
Right.
It's nature's way of just saying, hey, pay attention to this person.
Yeah.
And it's usually the start of something beautiful or, at least something fun.
Usually, yes. But here is where we need to take a sharp left turn. What happens when that spark doesn't just light a little fire in the hearth, but it actually burns down the entire house?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What happens when those butterflies turn into a swarm of bees that won't let you think or work or sleep?
Right.
What happens when that excitement morphs into a paralyzing obsession that lasts for years sometimes? And this is the crazy part. Sometimes over someone you don't even like that much.
That is the terrifying and fascinating question we are grappling with today.
Yeah.
Because there is a line where love, or, having a crush, crosses over into something totally distinct.
Something else.
Something pathological, and frankly, something very, very dangerous to your mental health and your whole life trajectory.
Exactly. We are talking about a specific term today, and it's a word that once you hear it, it might just explain a chapter of your life you've never been able to articulate before.
Yeah.
The word is limerence. And let me tell you, this is not just a fancy word for a crush. It is an involuntary cognitive and emotional state that can literally hijack your brain.
And that distinction is so vital. A crush is fun.
Oh.
Love is nurturing. Limerence is a hostage situation disguised as romance.
A hostage situation. Wow.
It is. It's a state of mind where your own free will feels compromised.
That is a powerful image. So here is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to dissect the difference between love and limerence. We're going to look at the signs, the science, and hopefully the solution.
Right.
To do that, we've got a stack of really compelling sources. We have a psychological breakdown from Psychology Today by Orly Miller, who really frames this perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have a diagnostic guide from the Abstracted Collective by Sonia Alonso, which is going to act as our sort of checklist.
And perhaps most compellingly, we have this harrowing case study. It's a first-person account from a Reddit community member who goes by the name Notstenzurs.
Mm.
And he documented a years-long struggle with this condition that it nearly destroyed him.
His story is wild. It's got twists, it's got heartbreak, and it's got a really scary look at how this happens in close quarters.
It really does.
So if you've ever felt like you were losing your mind over someone, or if you're just curious about the dark side of attraction, stick around. We are going deep.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Section 1, the diagnosis. Am I limerent?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people use the word obsessed pretty casually. Oh, I'm obsessed with this band, or I'm obsessed with this new burger place.
Right. It's just a word we throw around.
Yeah.
But this is different.
It's totally different. Orly Miller in Psychology Today gives us a definition that just hits different. She says limerence is emotional intensity without emotional grounding.
That phrase, without emotional grounding, that is the absolute key.
It's everything.
It's everything.
Yep.
Think about healthy love for a second. Real sustainable love is based on intimacy. It's based on knowing the person, their flaws, their good parts.
Yeah.
It's based on shared experiences, trust, reciprocity. It's a slow build. It's a structure. You lay bricks, you build a foundation.
Oh, yeah. You build a house together.
You do. Limerence feels just as intense. Sometimes it feels even more intense, but it has no foundation at all. It's all happening in your head, projected onto the other person.
I love that analogy we were tossing around earlier. Love is like a warm hearth in your living room. It heats the house, it's comfortable, it's safe, it's where you go to rest.
Right, it's a home base.
Exactly. Limerence is like chasing a mirage in the desert. You are running and running and running toward this shimmering image of water, but you never actually get to drink. You just get more thirsty, more exhausted.
And the cruel irony is that the running feels like purpose.
Yes.
The chase feels like meaning.
Mm.
But you're right, it's a mirage. And according to Sonia Lolo from Abstracted Collective, there are 4 very specific signs that tell you you're chasing a mirage, not building a hearth.
Okay, let's walk through these 4 signs because I think a lot of listeners might recognize themselves here and it might be a bit uncomfortable.
It might.
But we need to do it. Sign number 1, intrusive thoughts.
This is the hallmark. This is the big one. And we have to be so clear about the severity here. We are not talking about, daydreaming while you're bored in a meeting or smiling because you remembered a joke they told.
No.
We are talking about thoughts that interfere with your ability to function. Your ability to do your job, to talk to your friends, to live your life.
Sonia Alonso describes it as a spiral. You see a trigger, and it can be anything, right?
Anything.
Maybe it's a photo of them on Instagram, or maybe you just see someone who has the same haircut as them on the street, or you hear a song that reminds you of them, and boom, your brain just falls into a tunnel.
It's the involuntary nature of it that really defines the pathology. Oh. You want to focus on your spreadsheet or your conversation with your friend or you're trying to watch a movie.
You're trying so hard.
You're trying, but your brain keeps hijacking you. It keeps pulling you back to the limerent object, or LULO. That's the clinical term for the person you're obsessed with.
And it's not a nice thought, like, oh, I miss them.
Not always. I mean, it's a relentless, looping fantasy or even worse, an analysis of their behavior. It consumes hours, not minutes. Hours of your day.
It's like having a pop-up ad in your brain that you just cannot close. No matter what you click, it just keeps opening more windows.
That's a great way to put it. And the content of these thoughts isn't always positive, is it? It's often deeply analytical and anxious.
Oh yeah, totally.
You'll replay a 10-second interaction for 3 hours straight. Why did they look at their watch when I was talking? Were they bored? Did I say something stupid? Did I smell bad?
Or the flip side, right. Maybe they were checking the time because they had to leave, but they didn't want to, and they were sad about it.
Exactly. You're looking for evidence for either your greatest hopes or your worst fears. It's absolutely exhausting. It's like running a constant low-grade fever of anxiety and fantasy.
And that's a perfect lead-in to sign number 2, the emotional roller coaster.
Oh, this is where the real damage happens. This is where your entire mood, your entire self-worth for the day is dictated 100% by their behavior.
You've outsourced your emotional regulation?
Completely. You've handed the remote control to your feelings over to someone who doesn't even know they have it.
It's a dependency. So if they smile at you or they text you back with an emoji...
Euphoria. Pure euphoria. You are as high as a kite. Alonso actually compares it to heaven. You feel like you can conquer the world. All is right.
But, and here's the drop, the stomach-lurching drop of the roller coaster if they don't look at you when you walk past them, or if their tone is just slightly flat.
Or if they take 6 hours to reply to a text that you just know they saw.
Oh, the read receipt torture.
The worst.
Mm-hmm.
And then the world is ending. You crash. You feel physically ill. It's not just disappointment. It's despair.
And the consequence of that drop is what Alonso calls overanalyzing. You start playing detective. You become Sherlock Holmes. But the only case is, what did they mean by that?
Why do they use a period instead of an exclamation point? I always use an exclamation point. Does that mean they ate me now? Did I say something wrong yesterday? It's a constant, frantic search for meaning.
This can spiral into what Alonso classifies as stalking behaviors.
Mm-hmm. And we should be clear, we don't necessarily mean sitting in a car outside their house with binoculars, although, that can happen in extreme cases.
Right.
We mostly mean digital stalking, checking their online status constantly. They were online 5 minutes ago on WhatsApp, but they didn't read my message on Instagram. Who are they talking to?
Or looking at who liked their photo. Who is that? Why are they liking all of their pictures?
Or Googling random things to try and decode their behavior.
Yeah.
It's this desperate attempt to regain a sense of control in a situation where you feel completely powerless.
You're scavenging.
You are. You're scavenging for crumbs of certainty in a desert of ambiguity.
Which is funny in a very dark way because you're never going to find certainty inside someone else's head. But you just keep looking. You turn into this archivist of their digital footprint.
Precisely. You are trying to solve a puzzle that has no solution because half the pieces are imaginary.
Okay, so let's move to sign number 3, which is life revolvement and the drain. This one.
This one really hit me when I was reading the source material.
This is the opportunity cost of limerence. This is what you lose. Alonzo makes a really sharp observation here. She says you could be on a dream holiday, the Amalfi Coast, sipping wine, looking at the ocean.
Your bucket list trip.
Your bucket list trip. Or you could be at the best party of the year with all your best friends. But if you are limerent, you aren't really there.
No. You are physically present, but mentally you are in a simulation.
That's it.
You are wondering what the LO is doing. You're checking your phone under the table to see if they viewed your Instagram story of the beautiful Amalfi Coast.
And you're not even posting the story because you love the coast. You're posting it for them to see. Oh man, that is so true.
You are missing your own life. You are a ghost in your own story because you are haunting someone else's.
That is so tragic, a ghost in your own story.
It is. And Alonzo points out something that's really sobering. Limerence correlates with lower success in life.
Wow.
And that's not a judgment on a person's character. It's a math problem. It's an energy problem.
Explain that.
Well, the brain consumes a huge amount of glucose. It's our most energy-intensive organ. If 80% of your mental capacity is being burned up, fantasizing about or analyzing someone who probably isn't thinking about you at all.
You only have 20% left.
You have 20% left for your career, for your passions, for your actual friends, your family, your goals. You are running on fumes.
She has this line. She says, successful, purposeful people are engaged in their own lives, not pining for someone else's. And that is a huge wake-up call.
It is.
If you're wondering why you feel stuck in your career or your personal growth or why you haven't finished that project, take a look at where your mental energy is actually going.
It's like leaving all the lights on and the TV and the water running in a house you aren't even living in.
It's an energy leak, a massive one. Which brings us to sign number 4, which is almost a precondition for all the others. The void.
Yes. The fertile ground where limerence grows.
This is the why me part. Why do some people get limerence and others don't? Why can my friend go on a date, get ghosted, and just say, oh, well, their loss, while I spiral into a 6-month depression over it?
Right. Alonzo suggests it thrives in loneliness or a disconnection from the self.
That's an internal thing first.
It's an internal thing first. Happy, fulfilled, securely attached people. They generally don't fall into limerence. Now, that doesn't mean they don't fall in love. Of course they do.
Yeah.
But they don't lose their grip on reality.
They don't lose themselves.
They don't lose themselves. Limerence fills a hole. If you are craving love or attention, if you're struggling with self-esteem, or if you feel a deep lack of purpose in your life, your brain latches onto this obsession as a single, simple solution to all of those complex problems at once.
It says, if I can just have this person, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be worthy. Then my life will have meaning. Everything will be okay.
Exactly. It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
A really, really maladaptive one.
It's a distraction.
It's the ultimate distraction from the void inside yourself. Because if you are obsessed with them, you don't have to look at you.
Wow. Okay. So, we know the signs now. Intrusive thoughts, the roller coaster, life revolvement, and the void. But I want to understand the machinery. Why does our brain do this? Why does it feel so incredibly real? Because when you are in it, it feels more real than anything else in your life. Section 2, the mechanism. Orly Miller in Psychology Today talks a lot about one key ingredient, uncertainty.
This is the neuroscience of addiction. It really is. We have to look at the dopamine system. Miller explains that when access to a person is intermittent.
What does that mean, intermittent?
It means sometimes they are warm, sometimes they are cold, sometimes they text back instantly, sometimes they ignore you for days. That inconsistency, it gets the nervous system sensitized. It puts it on high alert.
It's like a slot machine, right? I love this analogy.
It's the perfect analogy.
If you walked up to a slot machine and you won every single time you pulled the lever, you'd get bored eventually. It would just be a transaction, like an ATM.
Right. Predictable.
And if you never ever won, you'd just walk away because it's a waste of money. But if you win sometimes and you never know when the next win is coming.
That is called intermittent reinforcement. And it is the most addictive pattern known to psychology. You are glued to that seat. You will sit there for hours pulling that lever.
And in a relationship, that's what creates this biochemical storm.
It does. Small signals get amplified.
Yeah.
Because you are essentially starved for affection and validation, a simple glance across the room feels like a massive event. A like on a photo from 3 weeks ago sends you into a spiral. Your brain treats it as precious, precious data.
And you think, oh my God, they looked at me across the room. That must mean they are secretly in love with me, but they're just afraid to say it.
Exactly. And this leads to what Miller calls the false certainty. Limerence feel this incredibly powerful conviction. This connection matters. This is destiny. We are twin flames. The universe is pulling us together. It feels prophetic.
And this is where the expert analysis has to be a little harsh, but fair. That conviction, that feeling of destiny.
It's a trick.
It's a trick.
It is a trick of the mind. Miller puts it so beautifully. She says, intensity is mistaken for depth.
Oof.
Just because you feel something strongly doesn't mean it's deep. It just means it's volatile. It just means your nervous system is going haywire. We confuse longing with compatibility. High anxiety can feel a lot like passion if you don't know the difference.
Intensity is mistaken for depth. That's going on a stuck note on my monitor.
Yeah.
It is so easy to confuse the two things.
It should. And Miller also has this incredible concept. She says limerence borrows the machinery of attachment.
What does that mean, borrows the machinery?
It means it uses the same neural pathways, the same hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin, that are designed for deep, secure bonding, like a mother and a child, or a healthy long-term couple. But it applies them to a phantom, to an idea.
So your body is reacting as if you're in a deeply bonded, secure relationship, but the reality is you're not.
You're not. You're in a relationship with a fantasy. It feels like a deep bond, but it lacks the stabilizing presence of mutual intimacy, of real consistent care.
And she connects this to childhood, right? The machinery of attachment.
Yes. And this is where it gets a bit, Freudian, but the modern neuroscience really holds up. If you grew up with caregivers who were inconsistent.
Hot and cold.
Exactly. Emotionally available 1 minute, distant or critical the next. Your brain, as a child, learns a very specific equation. Love equals anxiety. Love equals earning it. Love equals uncertainty.
So when you meet someone as an adult who treats you that same inconsistent way,
your brain goes, I recognize this. This is what love feels like. It feels familiar. It feels like home, even if home was a painful place.
Oof. So limerence feels right because it's mimicking those early wounds.
Yes. It's a pattern the nervous system already knows how to run.
That explains why it's so incredibly hard to break. You're not just fighting a crush, you're fighting your own fundamental wiring.
Precisely. You're fighting a nervous system that is desperately trying to resolve an old trauma with a new person. You're trying to win the game this time, a game you lost when you were 5 years old. You're trying to finally get the unpredictable parent to love you consistently.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the diagnosis, we've got the science. But I think to really understand how devastating this is, how it can just take over a life, we need to see it in action. We need to walk a mile in the shoes of someone who lived it. So let's move to section 3, the case study.
This is the story of No Such Chores from the Reddit community. And I want listeners to really take attention to the timeline and the proximity here, because it's a perfect storm for limerence.
So meet Nazis. He's a 29-year-old guy, and he has a limerent object. Or Alo, who's a 31-year-old guy. Now, here's the twist that makes this an absolute nightmare. They were flatmates.
The roommate trap. In limerence, no contact is the cure. We'll get to that later. But when you live with the person, you are trapped in the cage with the tiger. Every single time you leave your room, you risk a massive dopamine hit or a soul-crushing crash.
Because there is no escape. And here's the thing that just blew my mind when I first read this. Nazis didn't even like this guy at first. In fact, he kind of hated him.
This is such a crucial detail because it just debunks the entire myth that limerence is about finding your perfect match or your soulmate.
No, not at all. Nasties describes the LO as arrogant, narcissistic, and fake. He says the guy would just strut around the apartment boasting about how many guys were hitting on him. Nasties found him repulsive. He saw right through the machismo.
He had contempt for him. Contempt. That is the literal opposite of love. But remember what we said about the void?
Yes.
Nostales admits he was struggling with his own self-confidence at the time. He was insecure. And deep down, he saw that the LO's arrogance was just a flimsy cover for the LO's own deep insecurity. He recognized the pain underneath the bluster.
And that recognition, that's the little crack where the obsession gets him.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the catalyst. Every disaster movie has that moment where the scientist spots the asteroid on the screen.
Right.
For Nostales, it was September 2018.
And the specific activity matters less than the emotional shift that happened. They watched the movie Moonstruck, which is a romance, by the way.
It's a poetic.
Very. And then they went for a walk in the rain.
It's a classic setup. It sounds like a date.
It does. But on that walk, the LO dropped the act. He stopped being the arrogant braggart, and he showed vulnerability. He talked about being lost in life. He showed a moment of genuine kindness.
And that was the hook. That was it. Nostell says he saw a human puzzle to solve. He went from contempt to obsession almost overnight.
Yeah.
Why? Why does that one moment of vulnerability flip the switch so dramatically?
Because it created that intermittent reinforcement dynamic we just talked about.
The slot machine.
The slot machine just paid out one cherry.
Yeah.
Now, the LO isn't just a jerk anymore. He's a jerk with a secret heart of gold that only Nellisters has seen.
Oh, man. That's so addictive.
It is catnip for Limerence. Nosters felt special. I am the only one who truly understands him. I am the only one who has seen behind the mask. That is the dopamine hit. That's the win.
It's the savior complex mixed with the thrill of discovery, and so begins the escalation. It turned into this Jekyll and Hyde dynamic. Nosters craved those rare moments of connection, that 1% of vulnerability.
But 99% of the time, he just got the arrogant, dismissive roommate who would make jokes at his expense.
And because they lived together, he was subjected to what he calls proximity torture. He writes about lying in his bed, hearing the LO hook up with other people through the wall.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine that?
I can't. Lying there in the dark, obsessed with this person, and hearing them be intimate with someone else, just a few feet away. Or seeing him get out of the shower, just walking down the hall.
That sounds like actual hell on earth.
It is psychological torture, and Nost describes it as this constant internal conflict. Rationally, he knew they were incompatible. He says they barely functioned as friends. They argued, they annoyed each other.
The reality was right there in front of him.
But emotionally, he was addicted. He was dissecting every interaction, every look, every word, just searching, hoping for that moonstruck moment to happen again.
And then the world stopped. The pandemic.
Lockdown, the breaking point. Imagine being locked in an apartment 24/7 with the source of your addiction, who also happens to be the source of your daily pain.
No escape. No going to the office to get a break. No seeing other friends to distract yourself and get some perspective.
Nothing. Just you and the obsession.
Nosters says his symptoms just spiraled out of control. Panic attacks, he'd never had them before in his life. Deep depression. He even stopped eating just to avoid the possibility of seeing the LO in the kitchen.
Think about that for a second. Starving yourself to avoid the anxiety of a potential 5-minute interaction with your roommate? He was in a state of constant nervous system arousal, flight or freeze response, all day, every day. His body was literally breaking down under the strain.
And then came the moment that, it made me gasp when I read it in his post. The confrontation. They're stuck in this pressure cooker flat, tensions are sky high, and the LO turns to him and asks him point blank, "Are you in love with me?"
That is the Limerence absolute worst nightmare. Exposure, the secret is out, the fantasy bubble is about to pop.
And Nosters reacted with shame, just pure, crushing shame. He said no. He denied it instantly. He said he wanted the earth to swallow him whole. He felt like a creep. And the Delo's reaction to this, he was amused.
Of course he was. To a narcissist, which Nosdews had already identified him as, this is just fuel. It's an ego boost. Oh, my roommate is secretly obsessed with me. How flattering.
But for Nosdeers, it was the moment of ultimate humiliation. And I think, looking back, that humiliation was actually necessary.
It pierced the bubble.
It shattered the fantasy, or at least it put a massive crack in it. It forced him to look at the cold, hard reality of the situation. Which brings us perfectly to section 4, the illusion. Because looking back, Nosdeers realized something profound. He wasn't in love with the guy in his apartment. He was in love with a ghost.
We call this the halo effect in The Phantom. Sonia Alonso talks about the halo effect in her work. It's this cognitive bias where we project perfection onto the LO.
We see them as gods.
We do. We see them as these incredibly special, unique, complex beings. We ignore the red flags or we rationalize them. We paint them white. Oh, he's not rude. He's just brutally honest.
He's not flaky. He's just a free spirit.
Exactly. But reality check? Alonso says the LO is usually an incredibly average person.
Brutal, but probably true for most cases.
Brutal but true. The LO is a screen. And once Nostries got some distance, once that humiliating moment happened, what did he see? He didn't see a god. He saw a flawed man with serious drug and alcohol issues who was deeply insecure and barely functioning himself. A man who was cruel enough to be amused by his supposed friend's deep pain.
The halo just vanished.
It did. And Nostries realized he was obsessed with a fabricated version he had built in his own mind. The real man was just the raw material.
And he was trying to fix the LO, wasn't he? He mentions helping him with rehab, helping him after relapses. He was trying to solve that human puzzle.
And that is the crux of it, the proxy. If I can save him, I can save myself. If I can make this broken person love me, then I am worthy of love. The LO is just a screen. You are the projector.
Wow.
You are watching a movie starring your own insecurities and desires projected onto someone else's face.
You are watching a movie starring yourself projected onto someone else's face. That changes everything. It means the other person is almost irrelevant to the process.
In deep limerence, yes. They are a prop. They are a placeholder for your own unfulfilled needs. And that is why it hurts so much, because you aren't connecting with a real human being. You are connecting with your own loneliness, your own feeling of being broken. You're lonely, and you've just dressed your loneliness up in a costume that looks like this other person.
So, how do we stop the movie? How do we turn off the projector and turn the house lights back on? Section 5, The Cure, Breaking the Spell.
First off, I want to start with some good news. Sonia Lonto is very, very clear on this. It can be cured. She cured her own decades-long battle with limerence.
That's so hopeful.
It is. But it requires a decision, a conscious, deliberate decision. You have to decide that you want to be free more than you want the high of that intermittent reinforcement. You have to be willing to be bored for a while.
Boredom sounds pretty good compared to panic attacks and starving yourself.
I would think so.
And the strategy, the gold standard. What's the first step?
No contact. Full stop.
Which, for Noah's eyes, meant he had to move out. He said it was literally the only way.
And notice what happened when he did. He didn't feel better immediately. That's not how addiction works. He plunged into withdrawal.
He describes weeks of just agonizing pain, fighting these constant impulses to text, checking his phone even though he knew he was blocked. It sounds just like someone quitting heroin.
Biologically, it's very similar. The brain is screaming for its dopamine fix. It's sending out panic signals. Where's the LO? We need the LO to survive.
But he held the line.
He held the line. He blocked him on all social media. He kept necessary chats about, the apartment deposit concise and emotionless. He never, ever initiated contact. He starved the beast.
Okay, so no contact is strategy number 1. What's number 2?
Reality testing.
Yeah.
This is the active cognitive part of the cure. This is about taking them off the pedestal you built for them.
How do you do that?
You have to deliberately, consciously focus on the bad stuff. Make a list if you have to. Write down all the times they were arrogant, the cruelty, the fact that he was amused by Nostria's pain. You have to dismantle that halo effect, brick by painful brick.
So whenever a nice memory pops up, like that walk in the rain, you have to counter it.
You have to counter it immediately with a bad memory, like hearing him with someone else through the wall or a nasty comment he made. You have to force your brain to look at the whole real person, not just the idealized phantom you created.
You have to be the lawyer for the prosecution against your own crush.
That's a perfect way to put it. You are making the case for your own freedom.
Okay. And finally, strategy number 3, filling the void. Because you can't just remove the obsession and leave a giant hole. The obsession will just rush back in.
Correct. The abstracted collective makes this point so clearly. You must engage with your own life. If you just sit in your room and stare at the wall after going no contact, the intrusive thoughts will come back with a vengeance.
So what did Nice Bees do?
He went to therapy. He started working on stabilizing his self-belief. He started addressing the sources of his own unhappiness that existed long before he even met the LO.
It's about returning all that energy to its rightful owner.
Exactly. All that time you spent analyzing their texts, spend it analyzing your career goals. All the energy you spent fantasizing, spend it on a new hobby or reconnecting with old friends. You have to give your brain something better to do.
Orley Miller's therapeutic approach is about loosening its grip, right? It's not necessarily about extinguishing desire forever.
Not at all. It's about moving from that consuming attachment where you are being eaten alive by it to grounded attachment where you are safe and whole and your relationships add to your life instead of subtracting from it.
And naming it helps, right? Just having the word limerence.
Hugely.
Yeah.
Naming it reduces the shame almost instantly. It tells you, I am not crazy. I am not pathetic. I am experiencing a known psychological state. It has a name, it has symptoms, and thank God it has a cure.
It's a state, not a character flaw.
And because it is a state, it can change. That's the most powerful part.
That is such a relief to hear. I think for anyone listening who is in the thick of this right now, just knowing that this is a thing and not just them being broken is massive.
It really is. Shame keeps us stuck in the loop. Knowledge is the first step to setting us free.
So let's wrap this up. Let's summarize. What have we learned today in this deep dive?
Hmm.
We've learned that limerence is basically uncertainty disguised as destiny. It's a trick the brain plays when it's starved for connection and addicted to the intermittent reinforcement of a hot and cold dynamic.
We've learned that it feeds on low self-esteem and that void within us. It's a symptom of a deeper problem. And we've learned through Nosagi's incredibly brave story that it can survive even when you actively dislike the person.
Which is so wild.
But it cannot survive the bright light of reality and the strict discipline of no contact.
It requires removing the source to let the nervous system finally calm down and reset. It's a detox.
It is a detox for the soul. And like any detox, the first few days, maybe even weeks, are the absolute hardest. But the other side is freedom. It's getting your own life back.
So, here's our final provocative thought for you to carry with you today. We've talked a lot about how painful and destructive limerence is, but I want to ask a different question. What if, on some level, limerence is actually a form of self-protection?
That's the question, isn't it? By obsessing over someone who is completely unattainable, or someone who is chaotic and emotionally unavailable, or someone who just plain doesn't want you, what are you avoiding?
What's the payoff?
What is the payoff? Are you avoiding the real vulnerability of a real relationship? A relationship where you might actually get close to someone and then they might actually hurt you.
Are you avoiding the hard work of your own career by creating this grand drama to distract you? Are you avoiding looking in the mirror and seeing what you need to work on in yourself?
Because as long as you're staring at them, you don't have to look at yourself. It is the ultimate, most compelling, most romantic feeling distraction there is.
So, listener, here is the challenge we want to leave you with. If you took all that burning, frantic, detective-level energy you spend thinking about them, the stalking, the analyzing, the fantasizing, the rereading of texts,
Oh,
if you took that incredibly powerful laser beam and you pointed it back at yourself, your health, your goals, your friendships, your purpose, who would you be in a year?
that's the person I want to meet. That's the version of you that is waiting on the other side of this obsession.
Me too. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care of yourselves.